Hi there, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Canadian Profits TV. My name is Dave Dubeau, your host. And it's been a little while since we've done one of these live, so to speak. We pre-recorded a few over the summer because my right-hand guy, Wagner, had some time off, but here we are back at it. Hope you had a great summer, getting back in gear, back to school, all that kind of good stuff. I know our kids are just thrilled to be back in school. Not. But anyhow, what do we got for this week's episode of Canadian Profits TV? For our Mindset Minute, I'm going to introduce you to one of our very, very valued Canadian Profits long-term members, Mr. Daniel Labrecque, also known as Dan the Stick Man. And he's got a very basic but very cool business I want to tell you about. For our real estate tip this week, I want to talk to you about a big mistake I've made personally with some of my investing, and that's called letting your ego get in the way of the profit margin. Stay tuned. All right, so for a business breakthrough this week, or more like a mindset minute, it's a lesson I've gotten, or a reminder from a good friend of mine, Dan Labrecque, danthestickman.com. Now, Dan lives out in the middle of the Tules in northern Alberta, and his business is all around making survey sticks, or survey lath. Not even sure the right pronunciation. But those sticks that go on the ground for surveyors and for construction, especially for the oil field. Now, before I met Dan, I never paid attention whatsoever to sticks, to survey lath. But Dan is very, very passionate about that, and he has created a serious business all around that, starting from his backyard, making these things with a saw of some sort by himself, to now he's actually got a factory, bought a big piece of property. He's got 6 or 7 employees full-time working for him, goes up and down depending on how busy he is. And he's just grown his business into over $1 million a year business selling sticks. So Dan was asking me for a little bit of advice about a new product that he's come up with for helping to pound the sticks into the ground better. So we were throwing around different ideas, and the one we kind of came across, hopefully Dan doesn't mind if I share this, is Dan the Stick Man's Stick Whacker. And that's kind of a fun name, but funner is the tagline that I suggested that he use with that, which is the safest way to whack your wood. Now, that's a little tongue-in-cheek, and I might offend some people, but you got to remember what his target market is. They're construction guys. So I'm betting on the fact that his target market is absolutely going to love that term. It's going to tick a few people off who probably wouldn't have bought any of his sticks anyhow, but it's going to make him very, very memorable in the minds of his ideal client, which, let's face it, are construction guys, and they love that kind of terminology. So anyhow, the mindset minute there is, first of all, never underestimate what can be a really, really profitable business. Sometimes the things that you think about the least are actually have a phenomenal profit margin, as Dan's sticks do. And the next thing is, when it comes to your marketing, don't be afraid to offend to attract. What do I mean by that? Don't be afraid to do something that's a little bit outrageous. It's going to definitely tick some people off, and they will probably choose never to do business with you. However, it's going to attract a lot of your ideal clients who are going to love you even more and do more business with you because of it. And that's exactly what Dan the Stick Man's doing. That's your Mindset Minute. All right, for our real estate tip, I want to share a personal experience with you that's come very near and close to my heart most recently, and that's letting your ego get in the way of you actually getting into a real estate investment, really focusing on the profit. So in my case, rewind back to 2010, business was going pretty good, starting to grow, and I'd gotten bounced out of the little office that I'd been in for the last 5 or 6 years. I was in a teeny weeny little office, was everything I really needed, but the building got sold, so I had to move to a different office, and then that got me thinking, you know what, I don't want to be kicked out of an office again, I'll go buy my own office building, which is what I ended up doing. So ego-wise, it was great. I bought this nice office, it's big, it's spacious, it's just great, I feel great working here, but I didn't really crunch the numbers. I didn't realize the little office that I had before, where I was spending maybe $500 a month for the 2 office spaces that I had, was such a better deal financially than actually owning my own office space. So I look at my own office space now, and I have multiplied my overhead incredibly. And not only that, I didn't realize how much property taxes are for commercial buildings. So I didn't do my homework properly ahead of time. So now I'm in the situation where I'm looking at getting out of this investment because it's really not a great investment for me, especially at this time in my life. But I could have avoided a lot of time, trouble, and expense if I had really studied the market, studied the expense, studied the overhead, what was going to be really involved with buying my own office space. I thought I did my homework, but to be honest with you, my ego was playing much more a bigger role in the whole thing than I'd like to admit. So avoid doing the same thing. Be really smart when it comes to investments. Even your own personal residence, I know that's a very emotional thing, especially if you've got your spouse involved, but really think it through. Is this the best bang for my buck? That's your real estate tip for this week. All right, I hope you enjoyed this back to school episode of Canadian Profits TV. Want to thank everybody who sent in happy birthday wishes to me. It was my birthday last week at the big 45. Ugh, is what it is. Anyhow, thank you very much for folks that sent in birthday wishes. That was very nice of you. What's coming up? Well, we've got our first no-cost web class of the fall coming up on September 17th with my good friend and mentor, Ken Beaton. Now, the title of this webinar is Big Deals, Bigger Benefits, Biggest Profits. Now, you might be saying, Dave, but you're all about creative deals and rent to own and doing all this kind of stuff. And that's very, very true. However, I do think for long-term wealth and serious wealth growth, you do have to focus on buy and hold as well. And why putz around with little deals if you can jump right in and start doing big deals? That's what the web class is going to be all about. Ken's going to be showing us the ins and outs, the pros and cons of doing big deals, how to find them, where to look for them, and exactly how the whole thing works. So tune in for that, CanadianProfitsWebinar.com, or click on a button that's probably over there or somewhere, wherever Wagner put it. Click on the button there to register for this web class. Hope you have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.